It was 1974. My family moved from Pennsylvania to Ohio. I liked the new house and the ice cream shop nearby. Things were looking all right, and then school started. And so began my worst year ever. I was an early bloomer, as they say, and it turned out that not only was I the new girl, I had the biggest boobs of all the girls in my 6th grade class. They weren't huge in the greater spectrum of boob size, but you would have thought the boys in Ohio had never seen a single boob before. Because for that school year, my boobs became the obsession of a group of boys in my 6th grade class. The ringleader was Tommy Maxwell, red hair, freckles. How I despised him. He was the one who came up with the nickname Twin Towers. Yes, it was a reference to the World Trade Center, which had been recently built. Tommy and his friends agreed that it was the perfect nickname, especially because it could be used in front of the teachers. So they said it dozens of times a day, in the classroom, in the hall, in the cafeteria, and especially on the playground. They would lie in wait on the playground every day to ambush, grope, and grab. I wished for rain every day that year. And a year, it's a pretty long time when you're 11 or 12. I didn't have the words back then to describe what was happening. Sexual harassment, bullying, sexual assault. I didn't have those words, and I didn't tell anyone. And so it continued, on and on. I used to look at the other girls and think their flat chests represented a kind of freedom I had lost. Their young bodies without awkward appendages. They were like a tampon commercial without a period. And in this little world, this world of one adult and many children, I was puberty's photobomb, and my signifiers of sexual development, universal to all, somehow in that time and space marked me as utterly freakish and deformed. The other thing I remember about that school year, story time. The teacher spent an hour per day reading to the class. Ms. What's-Her-Name chose a grown-up book that would take all year to read. It was a New York Times bestseller called Alive. The book is the true story of the survivors of a 1972 plane crash in the Andes. They were stranded for 2 months in freezing temperatures. Having no other source of food, the passengers who lived had no choice but to make people jerky out of the passengers who didn't survive the crash. The freezing temperatures kept the meat very well preserved. Ms. What's-Her-Name felt the book introduced interesting new concepts and challenging vocabulary words. I wondered why I couldn't be in Mr. So-and-so's room next door, where he was reading A Wrinkle in Time or some other age-appropriate book, where there was a boy with a shy smile instead of a leer. So those two things went on all year. The sexual assaults, the name-calling and humiliation, and the cannibalism and desperation of South American plane crash survivors. In between were the weekends blissfully free of Tommy, punctuated by Scooby-Doo and Soul Train. Hours on roller skates, spinning to the music. Finally, in the spring, the survivors were rescued from the Andes. What a relief. They made it, and I beat the shit out of Tommy Maxwell. I tried to kill him, really. He touched me one too many times, and I took him down one day on the playground, and I sat on him, and I grabbed his ears like handles and pounded his putrid head into the ground. I didn't care who was watching, and nobody tried to stop me. That was the end of it. Passengers rescued, justice served on a playground. We all did what we had to do to survive. After that year, we moved again to another state. When I got to my new school for the 7th grade, I was very happy to make a new friend, Leah, who had the biggest boobs I had ever seen.
June 2020, alarm goes off. Clutch wife, remember to breathe. Remember George Floyd. Fear floods in, room congested. A poet wrote me a poem that tells me, think of your son when you first wake up, and I do, but terror for the risk to his soul, his body, his black skin. This mom's heart is tumbling, even with wife opening the curtain, singing me, good morning, good morning. Wild parrots and cascading Pasadena bird song, cat kneading and purring, even then cannot calm when wife gets up to leave. See 3 missed calls last night. Probably just son telling me about latest protest. He made me laugh at Highland Park March when he said, Mom, look, that white woman, full Black Panther regalia, knee-high black boots, black coveralls and beret, fist raised, standing in front of that MLK mural on the wall of that hipster coffee shop. Would this be her Instagram post? The woman, she looked at me, just said, your life matters. Yes, it does, son. And I imagine telling him this every day, what I've always told him, his life matters. Words sink into fear, stuck in throat, legs still glued to bed, gripped by galloping thoughts, pull blanket overhead.
I think of the lipsticks, lonely in a drawer, magnetic caps click tight, waiting to be pulled off, their cylinders coiled as a snake asleep in a den, ready to strike, a slingshot loaded, needing to arc, oil, wax, and pigment molded then angled off, silos of color at attention, soldier-esque, ready to swipe, mouth, towel, tissue, air. I think of the lips, naked beneath masks, dressed instead in hammocks of print or paper pleated surgical blue, the expressions buried against these screens, applied to blot everything out. I think of the kisses, barred from release, like inmates touching through plexiglass, the hands powdery with gloves, capped against touch, keeping warmth from seeping through. Black honey, Viva Glam, Russian red, a taxonomy of color and mood, stored, stilled. At the bottom of each tube, the bullet idles, wanting to swivel, to ricochet out.
The snake. He saw that snake shedding its cold skin, sliding away. My friend, he touched its flat head. He fell back, bit. Earl, you're seduced by the belly-crawling deceiver. The poison illed him quick. Earl, the snake has no feathers. It offers no hope. You bought the lie. You cannot make it better. Gripping your life does no good. This was a mistake. Snake dance is what you did. You chased a witless horde to a wonder-bred world. Now you sit trapped. The blue-eyed snake spits in your eye. Your wounds fester. Your blood turns to chalk. The horse sits by your side and drinks what is good. You weaken. The snake will shed on your grave.